Ladies and gentlemen, it is official. Kentucky basketball has landed the first five-star of the Mark Pope era.
You are Locked On Kentucky, your daily podcast on the Kentucky Wildcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, what's going on, Big Blue Nation? Welcome on into Locked On Kentucky, your daily Kentucky Wildcats podcast. I'm your host, Lance Dawe, and on today's episode of Locked On Kentucky, we are going to be discussing the commitment of five-star guard Jasper Johnson. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, he has chosen the Cats as of about 20 minutes ago. Super excited to break this down here with you guys. What does it mean for Kentucky? What do we know about Johnson? And let's take a look ahead at what Kentucky's 2025 class could be. Super excited to talk about this with you guys today. Hey, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. All you have to do is visit FanDuel.com to get started. Thank you so much for making Locked On Kentucky your first listen every single day. Want to remind everyone out there that we are free and available on all platforms. And if you are watching on YouTube, I would greatly appreciate it if you subscribe to the show. And if you are listening on podcast, I would hopefully appreciate it if you subscribe there as well. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. Five-star guard Jasper Johnson has committed to Kentucky. He is a 6'4", 175 pound combo guard, depending on where you look. Now listed at shooting guard on On3, the number 12 overall prospect in this 2025 class. Pope has gone out and done it. I am so excited to see Mark Pope get things going on the recruiting trail. Just a few weeks ago, was able to pick up four-star center, number 1 overall center in the 2025 class, Malachi Marino. This is a massive pickup. I know last year, whenever we saw players like Rob Dillingham, Reed Shepherd, Justin Edwards, when we saw them commit to this program, we all got super excited and we started to kind of think about what they could bring to the table and fantasized about how good they could be as freshmen. Nobody knew how good Reed Shepherd could be as a freshman with the Wildcats. Some people had some ideas about how good Rob Dillingham could be, and I think Jasper Johnson is another one of those extremely talented freshmen that's going to come in here and show out immediately. What do we know about Johnson as a player? Well, he is a pure scorer. If you go and watch any of his highlight tape, he is just an absolute menace in transition, extremely confident shooter, will pull from anywhere on the court, and he can knock it down as well. Left-handed shooter out of Overtime Elite. He's originally from the Lexington area and just transferred to play for OTE for his final season of high school. In contention alongside the Kentucky Wildcats to land him were the Alabama Crimson Tide, North Carolina Tar Heels, and Arkansas Razorbacks and Louisville Cardinals. Kentucky ended up getting him after just a wild back-and-forth recruitment over these last several weeks. I am so excited to see what Jasper does in a Mark Pope system this next season. I should say, I'm acting like he's going to play for the Cats this year, but no. 2025 commitment. He is just a gifted scorer, and it's not just the outside game, right? It's not just shooting three-pointers in transition, which Mark Pope is going to love, obviously, but it's also the ability to command an offense to an extent and also get into the mid-range and at the rim and finish there as well. I had him listed, and a lot of places did, at combo guard because of his ability to pass and run the offense a little bit. Now, as things have gone on, I've continued to say on the show here that I think he should play shooting guard. He shouldn't play point. But of course, I think if you put him in that backcourt at 6'4" and he's able to pass a little bit, it may not necessarily matter if you have a true 1 or a true 2 on the court at the same time. It's just a matter of whether or not you've got the pieces in Pope's offense. For instance, the center is probably going to be a massive addition for Kentucky when it comes to actually running some of the stuff, running the offense through the center, the 5 at the top of the key or whatever. Kentucky has a guard here. We'll just call it that. They have a score-first guard that can also pass a little bit as well. It's players like this that come through a program and define what the recruiting trail looks like for a coach for his entire career. We saw at Kentucky with Coach Cal him bring in guys off rip like guys like John Wall, who are staples of this program, who are just iconic players, right? Somebody like Jasper Johnson early on in Mark Pope's Kentucky career, I think they're going to make statements because of his ability to score the ball. Now, is he John Wall? No, I don't believe Jasper is John Wall. Nobody's going to be able to really match that speed consistently. But as far as scoring goes, as far as confidence goes, I like what Jasper absolutely brings to the table. Again, won this kid over Alabama and North Carolina, two big-time programs from the Lexington area. Mark Pope going out and proving to everyone that he can, in fact, recruit. I love this so much for Kentucky. Second addition to their 2025 class. Let's talk a little bit here about Kentucky basketball's 2025 class. What could it possibly look like? I think it could be really interesting for UK. Before we dive into that, though, I do want to tell you guys about our friends over at FanDuel. You've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel. It's America's #1 sportsbook, and we have something a little different here for you today because now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with the YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel any time. And if that's not enough, FanDuel also has something special for our listeners this weekend. Be sure to check out FanDuel's Profit Boost in the app and use it for FanDuel's Double Your Winnings for all Sunday, September 8th, pre-game moneyline bets. Profit Boost will be live starting Friday, September 6th. You can view your account page now to learn more about your boost. All you have to do is visit FanDuel.com and download America's #1 sportsbook. Again, that is FanDuel.com, America's #1 sportsbook. All right, continuing along here on the Thursday edition of Locked On Kentucky, Lance Dawe hanging out here with you. Really appreciate you guys checking out the show today. If you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel or the podcast feed, I would greatly appreciate it if you did so. Thank you so much to everybody that's tuning in today. Big time news for the Wildcats. Let me know what you think about Jasper's commitment in the comments below. Let me know what you think about Kentucky in their recruiting class. Winning this kid over, again, Alabama and North Carolina, just huge stuff for UK. All right, let's talk for a second about what this 2025 class could look like. Now, we discussed this a little bit on yesterday's show, but I want to revisit it here now that the news is official that Jasper has committed to the Wildcats. So you've got 2 players in your 2025 class. And I don't know if recruiting rankings have updated quite yet. I recorded as soon as Jasper announced that he would be committing. Jasper and Marino, I don't know where those 2 players make Kentucky stand in the national rankings, but they're here. 4-star center Malachi Marino, #1 center in this 2025 class. What do we know about him? Well, he is a high-floor center. He's a high-floor 5 that can do a lot of different things very well for Mark Pope out the gate. He is a really solid rebounder, great rim protector, really solid in the low post, scoring the basketball. He can run in transition. He is starting to show signs of an outside shot. He's somebody that I think could develop into a really special player for the Cats down the road. I've compared him time and time again to current All-American Auburn player Janai Broome, who is of similar stature and plays similarly, I believe, to Marino, at least how Marino looks in high school. I think it can project out to how Broome has played in college. There were a few years there with Broome where he sort of kind of had to develop some extra skills and had to strengthen some different things, aspects of his game, I should say. But as he got to Auburn, very quickly you started to realize the high floor that you were dealing with, and things sort of took off from there, especially last season. Somebody like Marino, I think, pairs very well with Jasper in the fact that he is a calm, steady presence that can do all of these different things very well. If you're running a 2-man game with somebody like Jasper and Marino, it's really hard to stay in front of both of these guys because of Jasper's shooting ability and Marino's ability to knock things down in the low post. You can sort of run pick and roll to death on different people if you would choose to do so. And if a shot is missed, Marino is a very solid rebounder, and you can kind of run things out after that point. But we're not playing with just 2 players. We're playing with 5 here. I think Kentucky could legitimately get 5 players in their 2025 recruiting class. Now, will they get all 5 of them? I don't know, but we're just kind of speculating here for fun today. So Jasper and Marino, I think they pair very well. You've got a high-octane guard and then a high-floor center. Who are some of the other players that Kentucky basketball is currently looking at? Well, one of them right now is actually scheduled to take a visit to Kentucky September 27th, and that is Mikel Brown Jr., a five-star prospect point guard that I think would be just an excellent, and I mean excellent pickup to play with Jasper in the backcourt. Those two next season would be insane. Mikel, I think, is a really solid scorer as well, but he's made more of an emphasis in interviews to talk about the fact that, hey, he is actually more interested in setting up his teammates and running an offense. And if you go and watch his videos from OTE, and there's not just highlight tape, there are full games out there that you can actually go and see of Mikel Brown Jr. playing. You can see control, you can see poise, you can see confidence, running an offense, not necessarily scoring, which is absolutely a part of his bag as well, but also commanding an offense, calm dribbling, finding guys in space, getting down into the lane and kicking balls out for threes. He does a little bit of everything on the offensive end of the floor. And then Mikel Brown has also made the point that he really wants to play defense as well. He wants to show that he is a full package heading into college. And something I want to stop here and talk about for just a second. Something that Jasper mentioned in his commitment live stream just a little bit ago, and something that Mikel has also talked about when they are asked about Kentucky, when they are asked about what does Mark Pope bring to the table in conversation, all of them say the same thing at the end of the day. Pope has made it clear he wants to bring these guys in to win a championship. Jasper, when asked what he brings to the table for Kentucky, in his live stream, he said, man, I bring a lot to the table for Kentucky, but I want to bring a championship. I want to hang a banner, is what he specifically said in his live stream over on 24/7 Sports. I love the messaging. I cannot say it enough. I love the messaging from Mark Pope, understanding that with these recruits, that's a part of the pitch. He wants to bring a title to Kentucky. Mikel Brown, Jasper Johnson, Malachi Marino, I think they could absolutely help Kentucky do that. Braylon Mullins, I think, is somebody else at shooting guard that you could get really excited about. He is a four-star prospect. Kentucky right now in a race with the Indiana Hoosiers to land his services. One of the best shooting guards in all of high school basketball right now, a 6'5" player. I think you could slide him down to wing if he bulked up just a little bit, depending on the rotation, but just one of the best shooters in next year's class. I would love to have him alongside Brown, Johnson, and Marino. Three guys that can pass very well and could set him up for a lot of different shots. Tunde Yesufu is another player at small forward that I think has a very high ceiling. You just have to bring along a little bit of the shooting. He does a lot of different things very well and very aggressively. He is a higher energy, passionate player at 6'5", as well as Mullins, but a little bit bulkier and way more physical. Plays almost like a power forward at times. He's bouncy. He can be effective in the low post. He can be effective in the mid-range. Defensively, he is strong. Very, very high energy player. Again, like I mentioned, those five guys, Brown, Johnson, Mullins, Yesufu, Marino, I think could all be excellent additions for Kentucky basketball. And then also a power forward. We didn't mention a power forward there. We got 1, 2, 3, and 5. But the 4 here that I think Kentucky's looking at adding in next year's class, and this would be a big one because of how the power forward position shakes out this year. Chris Senak, a 5-star prospect, a 6'10", 210-pound forward that could do a ton of damage alongside a player like Marino and, frankly, Brandon Garrison as well. I think Senak shows ability to slide down to the 5. I know that he's a little bit lighter, but the way that he operates around the basket, he's not somebody to really step out and be aggressive in that aspect of shooting the basketball. But I think that Senak could be somebody that you play at the 4 or the 5, and it's just a super uber aggressive and strong player in the post, just kind of bullying people down low, getting to his spot and dunking with intensity. I love his highlight tape. He is also another player that's really effective in transition. Somebody else also that when you watch his highlight tape, one of the big things that is noted is his ability to pass. He can do it in a lot of different ways. It's not just standing at the top of the key looking for somebody to throw the ball to. No, I'm talking about in transition, like wrapping passes around defenders and trying to find guys that are running into the lane. It is really, really cool stuff to watch. Senak, another very high ceiling prospect that I think also has a very high floor coming out of high school as well. So those are your 5 guys here. Excuse me, 6 guys, if you want to add Chris Senak. So let's wrap up the show here. Let's kind of put things into frame here as we approach the 2024 season. I really think Kentucky's setting themselves up for success. Before we get into that, though, I do want to tell you guys about our friends over at LinkedIn jobs, when you are hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. And that's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs, because LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the tools to help find you the right professionals faster and for free. It's not just another job board. They help you hire professionals you cannot find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. You can hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats and might not have the time or resources to hire. You should go check out LinkedIn Jobs today. You can post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That is linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, thank you so much for checking out the show today, wrapping up the Thursday edition of Locked On Kentucky. Listen, again, guys, if you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel or the podcast feed, I would greatly appreciate it if you did so. Thank you so much to everybody that's been commenting about the new studio. We're going to be adding more to it here over the next couple of weeks, just kind of filling out some details. This is not the final product, but we are in. Thank you so much to everybody behind the scenes that have been helping us out with this. We are really excited to bring you just an incredible product here as we get closer and closer to the season. And speaking of getting closer to the season, the Kentucky Wildcats, about 2 months away now from starting basketball officially. They're going to have some exhibition games in late October, and then we're kicking things off in November. I am so glad it is finally here with college football being back. This is just the most perfect time of year to settle down if you're a sports fan. By the way, we're going to have a preview of Kentucky versus South Carolina coming up tomorrow on the show, so make sure you subscribe if you want to see just how badly I think we're going to end up beating the Gamecocks. So it's just the best time of the year. That's all I really wanted to say, is it's just the best time of the year for us here at Locked On Kentucky. And if you look ahead to this non-conference slate, I'm going to say it over and over and over again, I think Kentucky's going to surprise some people, and I want to reiterate what I said yesterday. Does that mean they're going to win every single game? No, but I think they're going to, at the very least, be more competitive than a lot of people expect. This is not a top 25 team in a lot of people's eyes, and I just tend to disagree with that. I think that the personnel that Mark Pope has brought in, the shooting prowess that Kentucky has brought in across the board, I mean, essentially at all 5 positions, you are going to see Kentucky score points. You're going to see them score in bunches, and I think that's going to surprise some people. They're older. They have a ton of graduate transfers on this team. They're physical across the board as well. I think Kentucky's going to be pretty dang good. Now, if they are good, you start to see this 2025 class, now with Jasper, now with Marino, start to really unfold here. I think Kentucky will begin to start to have their way with some of these other kids that maybe are concerned about the transition period, for Mark Pope and the Cats. Now that Coach Cal's gone, what does Kentucky look like? Can they still be the Kentucky of old? I think the answer is absolutely, definitively yes. And if you are able to get some of these 5-star prospects to kind of bring alongside these guys that you have already committed, things are going to be really, really special in 2026 and beyond. So let me know what you think of the 2025 class, getting closer to college basketball season, all that good stuff in the comments below. That's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Kentucky. Hey, you can follow the show on Twitter at Locked On UK. You can follow me on Twitter at @LanceDawe_, and you can follow the show over on Twitter, on Instagram. That is a Kentucky Podcast. Any questions, comments, concerns, leave those in the YouTube comments below. Hit me on the socials. I will see you all tomorrow for another episode of Locked On Kentucky. Have a great rest of your day, everybody, and God bless.